I appreciate being with you this afternoon, and I'm certainly grateful for the honor and privilege that both President Trump and Secretary Duffy have provided me. But working with all of you as partners and delivering for the American people is a true privilege. I'm grateful to Leanne. She read my biography exactly the way we wrote it. I always like listening to it. He was the youngest this and the youngest that, and it just reminds me that I've had a long history of being young. Thank you for laughing. I have 7 jokes. A third of you have likely already heard most of them. I see Jane Williams in the front. She's my judge as to so far. Okay? Yeah, thank you. Great. I appreciate it. She also is looking for money. I know I'm supposed to be serious, but it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I did see a few of you at the bar beforehand, and I'm nervous. First, truly, it's a privilege and honor. I've spent every day of my adult life in public service, and I consider the work that you do, whether you are the direct providers of transportation and transit services to your constituents, or you're the consultants that work with them, you all do provide a degree of public service, and it's critically important. Since the President's nomination, as you know, I spent 8 long months in Senate purgatory, which I can imagine is worse than the actual purgatory because there are senators there. Like you don't think that's funny. Don't worry, I report to them just like everyone else, and having been been elected official, I appreciate the kind words as much as the snarky comments. This is what I know. Public transportation may be the one place that the American people and American families interact every day with their government. And because they interact every day with their government, and this is the front door, if you will, to government services for so many American families, whether it's on trains or ferries, whether it's in a streetcar or in a subway, whether it's on a platform or standing alone at a bus stop, which, Randy Clark, must be ADA compliant. American families want to trust that when they enter and make use of a public transportation system that they will get to where they're going efficiently, effectively, affordably, and safely. And so we are judged, all of you are judged to a much higher standard. In fact, for so many people, this may be the only regular interaction they have with their government. So they have a high level of expectation. And so the question for us is, are we making transportation and transit services easier to access and safer for the American family, or are we putting them at risk and causing frustration? Now, I think every day you strive to deliver a service that is as efficient and effective and as safe as is possible. But this is our test at this very moment. Transit matters because families matter. And the American family is very interested in being sure that we are meeting them where they are to safely move them to where they need to go. And as the family is the very foundation of our country, I want you to please know this. This administration is laser focused on outcomes that actually improve the daily lives of Americans. Not reports, not initiatives, not metrics that don't prove out reality, but real results. And I can tell you that my entire career in public service has been focused on this. And so I'm going to take this moment to let you know that, I understand the challenge. I served 30 years in elected office. It's a long time. My mother's happy I finally have a real job. But having served in the most local of governments, village government, 12 years in upstate New York. For my friends from New York, you know where upstate is. It's exactly north of where you are. 1,300 residents. We were not all related, but we were very close. But when you serve at that level of government, you learn early on that the decisions you make have real impacts on real people. And that when the roof leaks, it leaks on Republicans and Democrats alike, and the job of government is to fix the roof. Not blame someone else for why the roof's leaking, not explain away why someone else should fix it, not, by the way, trying to convince me the roof isn't leaking, or rewriting the language to somehow prove that the roof is just fine. At the end of the day, the American people And yes, this administration expects us to fix the damn roof. And families don't measure success based on the number of advisory committees or reports that are published. They just don't. I knew this as a local official, where rubber hits the road. Rubber hits the road. It's not for them about process, it's about results. It's not about analysis, it's about outcomes. And I can say to you confidently that the President and Secretary Duffy are laser focused on outcomes. And I want you to be our partners in achieving this. And in return, I commit to you to be your partner in achieving this. Now, I believe this firsthand, and I believe this... I paid Paul $20 to start clapping. This is really bad. I told the FTA staff if you could clap and start a standing ovation midway through, it'd be great. I haven't anyone clap for me in 9 months, except my 8-year-old son Eli, who thinks if he claps for me, I'll give him money. Clearly, Paul got the message. What I said during my confirmation hearing, and I offer you again today, that I truly believe that public transit is the circulatory system of the American economy. And that shared circulatory system only survives and thrives if all demographics, if all regions, and if all corners of the country can rely on safe and accessible public transportation. It is, for many of Americans, what connects rural communities and suburban subdivisions. It's what connects urban centers to the larger landscape of America. Our circulatory system, this transit system, is critically important to moving families to doctor's appointments, students to schools, seniors and those with disabilities to services and destinations they'd have no other opportunity to access. And so for all of us, I think you understand and know this, that our public transportation system is that which connects people to their futures. And together, it's why I think it's so important that we insist upon ourselves that we see measurable improvements when it comes to safety and accessibility. Now listen, every administration says that safety and security, safety of riders and the security of systems is their top priority. Let me say this without any hesitation. The safety of those who rely on transportation systems around America and the security of their systems is, without question, the top priority of this administration. And we will confront it boldly, bluntly, and in some ways unorthodoxly. Why? Because we don't have time. There are far too many headlines around America, and you've seen them. Just last Monday, sadly, in Charlotte, we know of the horrible and horrific crime and murder of a young woman. And quite frankly, the failure of a criminal justice system to ensure that a criminal didn't find his way back out onto the streets, not once, not twice, not 12 times, but 14 separate times. What happened to Irina is, without question, the most extreme example of why you'll hear me and us speak to the issue of safety over and over again. Assaults, robberies, open drug use, violent crimes on transit systems, fare evasion, all of it. None of it can be normalized. Families should not have to come to accept whether or not their child will be safe on their way to school or whether a spouse will come home from work unscathed. We can't have it continue to happen. And I am keenly aware, having spent most of my adult life in public office, where criminal justice, and by the way, responding to some of the most complicated challenges that American families face every day, was a priority. Mental health concerns, issues of poverty. We can't excuse away crimes. I used to say this as a county executive. It is not criminal to have a mental illness. But having a mental illness does not give you an excuse for committing a crime. And how we meet people, where we meet people, where they are. I've met with a number of agencies. You're all already engaged in some of this. Crisis intervention training, mental health first aid, response teams, intervening, de-escalate, and hopefully ensuring that we can prevent incidents of crime. Those are the tools that we have to use. And I'm keenly aware that not every fare evader is a violent criminal, but every violent criminal on a transit system is a fare evader. This was taught to us in the 1980s And we continue to repeat the same mistakes over and over and over again. And so I want to be very, very clear. We cannot allow an environment that breeds lawlessness. Low-level offenses always escalate to higher-level offenses. And those higher-level offenses have horrific outcomes. I am also very aware that many of you in this room are not the people making those policy decisions. Local elected officials and policymakers all across America have decided in too many cases to make it impossible for law enforcement and prosecutors to do their job and to empower criminal activity. Hell, I'm a New Yorker. That should be enough for you. I'm a New Yorker. In the state of New York, they spent far too much time redefining what crime is instead of investing in the tools necessary to intervene. And then you become the platform at which crimes are committed. Now, I get it. I really do. Local leaders who refuse to enforce the basic laws, who tolerate open fare evasion, who downplay criminal behavior, they're making a deliberate choice. And that choice is to make systems less safe, and then you are stuck with the consequences. And we recognize the challenge and want to be partners with all of you. And so we'll be there to help you move resources. We'll be there to challenge you to invest in safety and security. But I make this unquestionable pledge. When it comes to elected officials and policymakers who make those decisions to make us less safe, we will call them out as well. It is not fair to you, and it is not fair to the American family relying on the services you provide. What I've also seen consistently are state and local governments redefining what crime actually is. Now, I tell this as a sort of a joke, right? I mean, on a good day, I'm 5 foot 9 inches tall. With these shoes, maybe 5'9.5". Let's just say for a moment I'm 5 feet tall. 4 years ago in the state of New York, 12 inches equals a foot. Today, the state of New York tells you that 6 inches equals a foot. I am not 10 feet tall. What the hell am I talking about? Redefining the meaning of crime doesn't mean that we've washed away violence or criminal behavior. It just means they've redefined it. They've recalibrated it. They want people to believe certain things that just aren't true. Now, I was the mayor of a small village, 1,300 residents, I mentioned, the corner of Dutchess County along the Hudson River. At 4:22 p.m. on June 14, 1997, I received a call from the Tivoli Rescue Squad informing me that a 4-year-old girl and her mother had been raped at the Tivoli Bays estuary. In that very moment, that woman and her daughter's lives were changed forever. And the innocence of my community was shattered. We had one major crime in 12 years. The metrics tell me that we have no criminal issues. The measurements suggest that my constituents shouldn't be worried. But I can tell you that one moment changed the entire soul, personality, and perception of those 1,300 people. And so when a young woman in Charlotte gets murdered, yes, it reflects on all of us. And the challenge to confront it is all of ours. Yes, when a woman gets burned to death on a platform at an MTA station in New York City, yes, it reflects on all of us. Just today, and I say this without any hesitation, just today, I'm using this opportunity to go off the script just a hair. The governor of the state of New York is a policymaker. You live with these decisions. The governor of the state of New York said to the Secretary of the Department of Transportation, Secretary Duffy, you worry about people in the sky, I'll worry about people underground. Well, I've got news for every elected official. The Department of Transportation is going to worry about every American, no matter what mode they happen to go to and from work on. Our job and responsibility is to ensure everybody, whether it is underground, at a platform, on a ferry, or in a plane, whether it is a shuttle, it is a commuter rail, it is a light rail, it is a streetcar, everybody is our responsibility to provide for their safety and security. And safer systems, it's not just about some performance measurement. It's about ensuring that people can get to where they're going. We want outcomes that riders can measure themselves, that individuals in their daily lives can see the outcomes. We're not focused on process, we're focused on results. And I know this firsthand. I grew up in New York. My mother relied on public transportation in Yonkers, New York. I always say she couldn't possibly have gotten to and from work, and I couldn't have possibly gotten pot cheese at the Italian deli without public transportation. Strong and safe and efficient transportation systems, the ones that you run, they strengthen communities. They build and support American families. I also know how valuable accessibility is. And the very question that we must face is whether or not we're going to advance universal accessibility for every American of every ability. You provide services to those who choose to use public transit and those who have no choice but to use public transit. And those with intellectual, physical, and developmental disabilities, they face those challenges every day. At the FTA, we will make universal accessibility and universal design a priority. Why? Because it opens up the opportunity for every American and their family. When you design and develop and deploy projects that meet those with disabilities, you create accessibility for everyone. I know this firsthand. As the proud father of 4 children, I can tell you I love them all equally. And 21 years ago, if you had asked me if I wanted a child with a disability, I would have unassuredly said, or unquestionably said, probably not. Maybe I was petty or small because of it. But 21 years later, I will tell you I'd have it no other way. And that is why it is so critically important that we open up opportunity and accessibility for everyone of every ability. So whether it's a new start or core capacity, whether it's a bus rapid transit or a subway, whether it is a legacy station or a new station, we want universal accessibility. We don't want you to fit it in. We want to be sure it is fundamental to providing access to everyone. And when you design and think about how to develop projects, we want you to think about the mom or dad with a stroller, the grandmother or grandfather with the walker, and yes, the adult with a mobility challenge, or the young woman with a neurological difference. All of them deserve to have access. And we ought to be meeting this moment with the kind of creativity that I know you have within your own agencies and within your own capacity. We're also focused as an administration on American manufacturing. We recognize, by the way, the need to ensure that the major manufacturers in rolling stock and bus development and bus manufacturing, that you all have the support, that you have reliable resources, and that we have clear expectations for delivering for transit agencies. The President's One Big Beautiful Bill is focused on trying to create a level playing field in an environment that grows American jobs and American manufacturing. And that manufacturing relies not only on the main plants, but also those suppliers, the small distribution, all across America. This is, by the way, if the transit systems are our circulatory system, right, the arteries, the suppliers and manufacturers, you're the veins, where we keep rural and urban communities linked together because we're growing together American jobs and American opportunity. Together, we will focus on cutting burdensome regulation. We'll focus on moving greater efficiency through the NEPA review process, all with the goal of project delivery. Secretary Duffy wants to build big, wants to build fast, wants to build on time and under budget. You all have the capacity to achieve that, but we have a role to play as well. Cutting red tape, reforming some of our regulatory environments, and making it easier to navigate through the maze of federal, state, and local agencies is a priority for us so that we can move projects fast, efficient, and affordably. And so together we're focused on the practical needs that American families rely on have every day. Together, we want to be ready for America's role in the world's athletic stage. You all know this, 11 host cities. You know, I have to tell you, when mayors and communities beg to be host cities, I don't know what they expected, but there's going to be some challenges that come with that. We as an agency want to continue to provide you the technical support, but we also want to work together. The 2025 FIFA World Cup, Olympics in LA, Paralympics, all of this will put America on the international stage. And the President and Secretary Duffy want us to put our best foot forward. Tell us how we can help, but come to the table with transparency. Come to the table with mobility plans. Help us to ensure that there's universal wayfinding so that people, no matter where they are, athletes or fans, know how to navigate the great American communities that they're going to experience and be prepared to celebrate in. Together, I will tell you that my goal and our goal is to work as as partners, and I mean that sincerely. To my friends here at APTA and to all of you as individual agencies and support staff and consultants, we're your partners. Tell us how we can improve, and we're going to tell you how you can improve. It's a mutual relationship. And the American families and American people, collaboration and success will decide whether or not we together deliver. And so I'll close with what is my basic commitment to all of you. I will continue to advance President Trump's America First agenda, and Secretary Duffy's high standard for leadership, innovation, and accountability. But I'm also committed to pressing local leaders and policymakers to abandon failed policies and data manipulation so that together we can ensure that our systems are safe, that we're delivering measurable improvements, and families can be and feel safe and free. And so my call to action is that every time we make a decision, every decision should be based on one question. Will this make transit safer, more accessible, and more useful for American families? And if the answer is no, we should change course. Together, I can assure you that riders, workers, agencies, and policymakers, we all stand at a pivotal moment. Families deserve transit that strengthens their lives and communities, and together we can achieve this by focusing on measurable outcomes, not process, and together restoring public trust, rebuilding ridership, and delivering a system and systems worthy of the people we serve. It is my honor to partner with all of you. I want to take this moment to acknowledge the FTA staff, men and women I admire greatly. We are leaner but not meaner, I assure you that. But whether they are our regional staff who you have come to rely on, wonderful public servants in their own right, or those that I work with in Washington, D.C., all are committed to advocating for the transit agencies you all serve and represent and the American people who rely on safe, affordable, and accessible transit. God bless you, and thank you very much.